Musinguzi Joshua is one of 5 siblings, but he is the only child who is deaf.
Yeah, day 3 of treatment, feeling better.
In this short film, he plays a patient who struggles to communicate with the doctor until an interpreter arrives to assist.
Do you understand?
What is
I don't
special
want to
about
see you
this
guys
play
do it
is
respect
that
my
deaf
death.
children
I am
took
out
part in
of
the
time, I
production
must work.
process from start to finish.
If you want that, you can go and take a selfie with the chef. Then we
Musinguzi
can
was in
meet
primary 7 at
another
Mulago
one.
School for the Deaf when he participated in the project. Later, he enrolled to the Mbale School for the Deaf, where he is currently
Here's our
pursuing a
chef with the
vocational
deaf
course.
patient Joshua.
I enjoyed mostly about the doctor play because it really taught me about the problems, the health problems.
It's all part of the Inclusive Life Worlds of Deaf Children project completed after 3 years. The collaborative research work was led by Alexandra Tompkins, a visual anthropology PhD candidate at the University of Manchester. She worked with deaf children from the Mulago Primary School for the Deaf in Kampala, along with the Department of Hearing Impairment and Sign Language Interpretation Studies at Chambogo University. The exhibition, Deaf Children's Stories of Inclusion at Ndiro in Nakasero, has run from April 4th.
In exploring deaf children's life worlds and lived experiences, I really wanted to come up with a method, a research method that was accessible and inclusive to deaf children of various linguistic abilities, ages, that was kind of non-discriminatory in that way. And so in thinking about the methods for the project, building from previous projects that I've also done with deaf children in Uganda, I found that visual media, so particularly film and photography, and also drama, were very kind of, they connected well with deaf children and their way of experiencing the world, because deaf children and deaf people experience the world very visually.
Musinguzi's father, Godfrey Muchebezi, is a proud man. As the audience watches the film in Kampala, he's all smiles and looks confident about his son. His trick for inclusion at home is to treat every child equally and expose them to equal opportunities.
A deaf child can, even when given that effort and he believes in himself, especially by the help of the parents, can do even better than those who can speak. I speak that from my personal experience, that the child whom I'm having at home is even doing better than others. Waking up in the morning, he does work without being even asked to do. Everything is well organized. So what is needed is the parents to give them efforts. First of all, not to leave them at home, to take them to school.
Tompkins found that in Uganda, the primary causes of deafness include preventable diseases such as malaria, meningitis, and unrelated ear infections.
So often, for example, if you're doing an interview in research with children, might not be the most kind of child-friendly way to have a setup like we're doing now. And so for example, one of the things I did during this project was to use drawing as a research method, as a kind of child-friendly interview technique, to find out more about their home lives, their relationships, their family. And so they would draw maybe their family, and then they would explain what they have drawn. And I was finding it much more an effective tool than, for example, asking questions in this way, because maybe the children had different kind of linguistic abilities in terms of sign language.
Angela Nanteza is a deaf teacher and was an assistant workshop facilitator during the project. She lost her hearing ability at the age of 5, and doctors have never figured out why.
I think with this filming, it is very sensitive, and I have a lot of passion in it, because it has changed. If it has changed me, then it can change others. Even the community, they have now seen that we can do anything like any other person. At the same time, the deaf children, when they do act themselves to do the filming, many have started to be creative, being innovative. They have been inspired that they can.
Rosie Wanyana is the deputy head teacher of Mulago School for the Deaf and a qualified special needs teacher. She welcomes exploring how visual aids can be used to develop deaf-centered teaching and instruction, as they are typically visual learners.
Fine, we have included them in the environment or in the learning environment, but do they get the substantive needs or the substantive knowledge or skills that are required of us people who are teaching them? So I see as if it's also a challenge to them. They have been included, they have been accepted, but at a certain time, some people lack the empathy for the deaf culture. They are not empathetic to them.
Thank you so much for the kind words of wisdom.
Dr. Sam Lutalo Chiinji, one of Alexandra's PhD supervisors and the head of the Department of Hearing Impairment and Sign Language Interpretation Studies at Chambugo University, is banking on sign language to build strong communities among young deaf people. He's calling on the government to invest in such technologies.
I think it is important that we gazette the policy, the special needs inclusive policy, because the moment we have the policy in place, then it will be much more easier to have the guidelines on board, but also support the Ministry of Education and Sports, Department of Special Needs, be able to support the recruitment of human resource, support personnel, but also professional teachers. Because as an institution, it is only Chambugo that is training such studies. It would be good if we have such things, that the government empowers all universities and other institutions to be training the same way we are doing, so that we can enhance on the human resource and human capital to support such the plans.
Throughout the workshops, 3 key themes were highlighted, including emotional literacy, family life. In the final phase, as children shared their stories and aspirations through film, inclusion was highlighted as a theme.
I feel so good, and also I want to do some supervision. Yes, kind of supervision, and also how I can teach and also counsel others with the use of sign language. Now with inclusion, within the story that we even did, you try to bring together different students, those who are happy, those who are not happy, but it brings us together. We demonstrated that within the story.
Alexandra partnered with Davidson Mugume, one of the founders of Film Impossible, to help the children with storyboarding, scripting, acting, filming, and editing.
Going a step further than these children being deaf and having to learn from them how they perceive the world, it was quite eye-opening. And these films kind of demonstrate that in terms of we focused on 2 aspects. We worked on 2 films. One was talking about the present day, and then the next film was talking about the future. What do they envision the future to be?
It was a real learning curve for me, also because I wanted this project to be child-centered, to kind of let go of any kind of pre-existing notions of what the research might look like, and allow it to be led by the children. I myself, as everyone kind of who's close to me knows, I'm quite a planner, and I like to plan things. So it was quite a lesson to be a bit more spontaneous, to allow the research to be led by the children and what they were interested in.
Sarah Bugosi Kiboli, the Commissioner Special Needs and Inclusive Education at the Ministry of Education and Sports, applauded the project, making a call for strengthening inclusion.
Expressed what they have learned, and I think all of us can believe that the time they have spent in school has not been to a waste.
According to the 2024 Uganda National Population and Housing Census, 2.5% of 46 million people have difficulty in hearing and 0.2%, about 91,000, are deaf. Globally, the World Health Organization estimates over 5% of people are deaf and 34 million are children.
We also learned a lot from Dr. Lutalo.
New Vision TV. Stream smart, stream New Vision.